Okay, welcome back to another raw testing video. Today we're going to be continuing on the 2024 for this back testing that we're doing. Obviously, we've just finished 2025 if you didn't see the last episode. So we've done a bit of a change, but as I said, if you want to go and watch that, feel free to go back before. So we're going to jump straight into it now and begin back testing 2024 to see if there is any difference between 2025 and 2024. Reason being that, just because you do it 1 year, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work every year, right? So we need to, make sure that this actually does continue to work year on year, because we don't want to be in a position where, it doesn't. So let's continue on and see. Did that not close? Okay, I think that's closed, right? I don't want to skip just in case. Okay, I think it has closed because it's realized. Yeah, okay, weird then. So if you want to know a bit more, behind this strategy and sort of why we're taking, these trades, I've done a video on it before. So, feel free to check that out. And essentially, we're just looking to see how it performs over multiple years, because we don't want to be, as I said, in a position where we do it for 1 year and then it doesn't actually, work or do anything. That's definitely not what you want to have. So let's see, that's going to be no trade that day. Go to the next session. Move that and continue on. So let's see. And in terms of how this strategy works, it's quite a simple one. We're just kind of doing break and retest essentially, and then looking at if the wick closes above or below the high. That's essentially what this strategy is. It's not particularly complicated. It's fairly simple. So for example, here, as you can see, the wick that broke the low closed below it. So this would be a good setup, or a better setup, as we've seen over the years. And so this is essentially what we're looking to see. If it wasn't just one case over 1 year where it actually performed well, we want to see if it does well over multiple years, right? Because you don't want to, as I said, be in a position where you test something and don't have the data to support it. So we're going to keep testing this. And we're not just taking the ones that fit the plan, we're taking the ones that also don't, because, there we go, that's TP on that one, because we need to essentially see the ones that also lose, because then we can work that out, as opposed to just taking the ones that we think fit. Because the way I'm doing this data collection, as you can see from last year, is we do it with the new strategy, without the new strategy, and then we combine it to give our normal results, and then that way it makes it easier to see what needs changing. So that's a trade, and did that, yeah, just about valid, just about. So we'll put an entry on that. We need to change it now. And that's one annoying thing with this retest, is that, let's close this pending order. There we go. Yeah, that's the one issue with this strategy with the retest, is you have to keep adjusting it to fit kind of the plan. So let's see, do we get entered before 12? It's hit target already, so therefore that trade is invalid, and we go to the next one. And what we do is we basically do each month, so we do like January, February, etc., and then we go month by month to see how it performs in comparison to the current strategy we trade. And then from this, we can use this data to kind of improve the win rate not necessarily improved the win rate. Like if you look at last year, the win rate was fairly similar. The only difference was we just reduced our losses quite significantly. That's not going to be a trade. So instead of making 4% in the year, we made 6%, which was quite a difference actually. And to kind of prove there was something there, if we only traded the opposite of what we're looking at, we would have lost 6%. So serious difference there. I don't think we're going to get a trade here. No. Go to the next session. So yeah, serious difference, which is good because that means what we're testing is, you know, working. We will have a trade here. And that's why you only should do a year of testing first, see if there's actually any data to support it, and then you can spend a bit more time actually testing the whole thing, because you don't want to say like, I'm going to test 5 years of something for it to just never play out. That's the last thing you want. Don't think we're going to have a trade here. That other one's like bugged. So there's no trade there, so we can just remove that and go to the next session. And that is going to be a trade. We should have entered that. So what we're going to have to do here is just market execute and put our stop somewhere like there. Just to, you know, because we don't want to have trades that we should have taken that we didn't. So we need to trade everything basically to have the best represented data. So we are in this trade. And we're going to hit SL. Now, for the sake of the actual data, let me just work out where this trade would have been. So that's would have been to there, and the entry would have looked like this, and it would have been a 1 to 3 like this. So that would have hit. So we do need to put that on, just for the, as I said, for the sake of the data integrity. And that did not count. Okay, cool. So that would have been 3% there, but that's my fault. I missed that. So we carry on. We're not going to have a trade that day. Next session. 7:45. And that is going to be a trade. And this is all we're doing. And I encourage you to do this with anything that you're testing as well, is to just, you know, do a year, see what happens with it, and then go from there, right? You don't want to, as I said, spend years and years testing something just for it to lose. That is, or sorry, not for it to lose, for it to not work. That would not be ideal. So that's another win there. So we're up 4% in January so far, and we're about halfway through the month. So let's keep going and see what else we get. So that is going to be a break, which is what we need, and that's going to go like that. And this would be an invalid setup for the potential new strategy. So let's see how this performs if the invalid one works, because obviously, you know, if the theory, or not even the theory, if the data is correct, this should lose. And it does lose, so we can put that in as a loss. Move and go to the next session. So this is 22nd now. Don't think we're going to get a trade today. Nope, no trade. Next session. Let's see what happens. No trade. Next session. And this is all you need to do, is just click through, see if there's a setup like that, and basically enter it like you would normally. It just makes it a lot easier to kind of test. So yeah, so this would be a valid trade, tagged in, and we go straight to TP. So that's beautiful, and that is a valid trade. So we can put that down like that. Go to the next one. So we're now up 6% for January. Go to the next session, and let's see. Yeah, so we're not gonna have a trade that day. Next session, probably not gonna have a trade this day. Nope. Next session. That's gonna be no trade that day. Next session. So you can see how not infrequently I trade, because I do trade a fair chunk of time, but you know, it doesn't happen loads, I think is what I would say. So that is going to be a trade, and it's going to include both of those. And I've done like a full strategy video on this, if you want to know a bit more about what I'm looking for, as opposed to just me testing. But you can watch that video, come back to this one, as well as the other 6 I think I've done, and see sort of how I get the trade. So we have been tagged in there, as you can see in the unrealized P&L. So obviously we've just got a really good spread, I guess. So let's see if this wins. And it does. So that one was valid as well. Take that. And then we can remove the drawings and continue. So we're now up 9% for January. I think that's the last. Oh no, we got one more day of the month. So let's see what we get here. So we do get a buy opportunity, which we're going to take. And this is again a valid trade. So we're going to take it. Again, need to adjust this just to make sure that we get the best entry possible. Oh, sometimes it does that where it glitches out. There we go. Tagged in, and that one lost. So let me just make sure. Okay, cool. And we go back and let's take a look at the stats for January. So we finished up 8%. So not bad. 50% win rate. We took a total of 8 trades, up 8%. Pretty decent profit factor of 3. Expectancies are not bad. 1 max loss, 2 max win. Which is good. I don't know what this is doing today. It's been so buggy. Let me just refresh it. There we go. Okay, yeah, so not bad. You see 8%. That's the trading pattern there. Obviously, that should have actually been 11% because there was that one that we did miss, but that's fine. So what we do now is we need to go over and work out January stats. So okay, so as you can see, this is January's stats here. So on just the new edge we're testing, we made 10%. On the no wick, just doing the opposite of what we should be doing, we were made 2%, and together we made 12%. So that's obviously, as I said, including the one that we should have counted, right? So that is January done. So normally I like to do a month or 2 of these, just so you can see, what's going on, the data behind it. So hopefully you found that video useful for 2024 so far. We'll do obviously February in the next video, maybe March as well, depending on how quick or short the month is. But hopefully you find these videos useful, a bit more of the raw element, and I will see you in the next one.